Hello, neurofabulous friends. Late diagnosed AuDHD here. And today I'm diving into the wild world of goal setting. And I'm already burnt out. Like last week, I sent out a video around masking during the holiday season and like the exhaustion of neurodivergent people during the holiday season. I haven't even started with the holiday parties, but just looking at my calendar is making me exhausted. I just want to make that abundantly clear. So there's that. Anywho, so hi, you're a fabulous friend here. I like to call it the motivational version of trying to fold a fitted sheet. Goal setting. Technically possible, but sometimes my brain would rather eat lint than fold the fitted sheet. So by the end of this video, we're going to understand the goal setting strategies that actually work for neurodivergent minds. We're going to talk about the science behind those tools. We're going to talk about some real world examples, and we're going to talk about systems that compensate for time blindness, working memory gaps, executive function glitches, and hopefully you will walk away knowing exactly how to plan out next year in a way that your brain can genuinely follow. We're going to use some science here. We're not just going to use some cute online ridiculousness. Science, science, science. So, if you are new here, hi, I am Nicola. I'm late diagnosed AuDHD. I'm a mum. I work all the time. I write books. Jokes, just drop a little hint. And I've spent years studying stuff because that is my special interest, is studying. So the strategies we're going to talk about today come from research in psychology because I love a deep dive into psychological research. We're going to talk about some behavior change, occupational science, and the lived reality of surviving my own planner graveyard. And if you need the planner graveyard, watch that in a different video. So before we jump in, we've got a freebie, which is a oldie but a goodie. It's a classic from the blog that I used to have. It was around journaling and bullet journaling, etc. It's an oldie but a goodie, and it has everything in it that we actually need, and it's free. So whatever, just go, links, grab it. The annual planner was originally from My Inner Creative, and you can download it in the link below. Have a look at the merch while you're there, because this AuDHD sweatshirt is possibly the most accurate representation of my personality at the moment. Right, let's dive in. So why traditional goal setting usually fails for neurodivergent people. Let's start kind of at the basis of this. Standard goal systems were never built for neurodivergent brains. Research shows that ADHD and AuDHD involve challenges with working memory, time perception, planning, and sequencing. A researcher called Barkley describes ADHD as a performance disorder, not a knowledge disorder. We know what we want to do, we simply cannot always do it on demand. And this is why traditional frameworks like SMART goals often fail, and they assume we've got a consistent attention span, we have predictable energy patterns, the ability to hold future consequences in your mind, and the ability to remember the goal at all. So for many neurodivergent people, none of this is guaranteed. Time blindness research shows that our brains naturally prioritize what is in front of us. Future goals seem abstract or invisible, and not like this is not a moral failure. It's just neurology. So in this video, we're going to kind of talk about some strategies that work with how your brain naturally operates and not really against it. Now, if this already makes you feel seen, make sure you hit subscribe. I make videos that help neurodivergent brains thrive every week using science and evidence-based systems instead of guilting us into believing that we needed a 37-page bullet journal that is literally just going to collect dust. So let's not do that and hit subscribe. So, before choosing a goal, you really need to know what's actually working for you. And reflection is one of the most underused tools for neurodivergent minds. The research is incredibly strong. One study showed that workers who spend 15 minutes reflecting at the end of the day had 23% performance increase compared to those who kept pushing without a pause. Reflection is not just a fluff around you, it's a learning accelerator. So, for neurodivergent brains, reflection helps because it stabilizes your self awareness, it makes invisible patterns visible, it reduces overwhelm, and it gives your working memory an external anchor. So, we're going to try a reflective prompt as part of your annual review. You're going to think about this, get a pen, paper, I don't care, type it down. What helped me regulate myself this year, the whole year? What helped you the best? And what made everything harder? This is how you start building a goal that fits your life, not a fantasy self. So, if you want structured prompts, they're included in the free annual planner. Grab it below and I will, you know, print it. You need to go print it out and just do it because it's all in there. So, let's continue on. You want to make your future visual and emotional. So, goal science shows that future thinking is one of the strongest predictors of follow through. When people can vividly imagine a specific future scene, they're more motivated and more consistent. That's where vision boards come in. Now, if you ask my neighbor, oh my God, this is actually, okay, little segue, little ADHD segue. So, about 2 years ago, I did a vision board party at my house and I was like fully into it. Like, I was so into it, and I got everybody like magazines and like they could cut stuff out. My neighbor was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. And she hated every second of it. It still makes me laugh. My other neighbor was like, this is great. And she actually achieved some of the stuff on her goals, which was really cool. And then we had like another friend as well who was just like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. Like, this is not for me. But granted, we were doing like, it was more like a wine vibe, like a wine and snack vibe, versus a actual vision board session. So sorry about the segue, but like, it's hilarious because, my next door neighbor, she was just like, absolutely not, like dead to me. I think if she did it differently, maybe we see. I don't know. Shout out chance. All right. So if we see into the future, we can then like start visualizing what's going to be the best for us. It's not manifestation, like it's not magic, it's science. A vision board works because it triggers that future thinking, it strengthens the link between your present self and your future self, and it provides an environmental cue that pulls your attention back to your goals. So, research on behavioral cues shows that we are more likely to act in line with our goals when our goals are visually present in our environment. So, it's 2025. You can use phone wallpaper, a laptop screensaver, digital boards on Notion, Canva, Pinterest. Please. The key is visibility. If your brain cannot see it, it does not exist. So make your vision board emotional as well as visual. Add images that activate feeling, not just task. And your brain follows emotion more than it does logic. Now, for mine last year, or the year before and this year, I did it on my phone, and seeing it every day helped remind me that I had shit to do, essentially. And for this year, I've ticked off everything on my vision board. No, it's not. Here we go. Here we go. I'll show you. So cute. Um, Granted, I think one was probably kind of underwhelming, but we can go into that a little bit. And I'll also I'll also give you you know what? You can find like a scrapbook vision board on Canva. I'll link some links. I don't know. I'll find something that I can share in the links below. It's like not a big deal. I'm curious to know though, in the comments, I want to know like what it is that you potentially are kind of keen to see for yourself in 2026. And while you're there, tap subscribe so you know, don't miss how we go next year. All right, so now we're going to use kind of mental like contrasting. And then there's a thing called if-then plans. Now, this is one of the most powerful science-based systems tested. Mental contrasting means you imagine the goal, you acknowledge the obstacle, and then you plan around it. And research shows that when people combine mental contrasting with if-then plans, they're significantly more successful at reaching goals. This approach is known as MC2. MC2 is one of the most studied and constantly effective goal achievement methods in psychology. It combines two evidence-based components, mental contrasting and implementation intentions, so if-then plans. Each piece has a strong research foundation, and then when you put them together, the effects become even stronger. So mental contrasting was developed by psychologist Gabrielle Oettingen. Oettingen? Sorry, Gabrielle. Her research found that positive fantasies alone often reduce the effort because the brain feels a small dose of reward just from imagining the success. So mental contrasting often works because it introduces both sides of the goal. The desired future, you're imagining something specific that you want, and the current reality, you identify the obstacles that are standing in the way. This contrast triggers a process called energization, which is a measurable rise in the psychological readiness to act. So, studies show when people strongly care about a goal, mental contrasting increases effort and persistence. When the goal is not truly meaningful, mental contrasting reduces effort, which protects your energy and prevents wasted time. Logic. In other words, mental contrasting teaches your brain to prioritize goals that matter and let go of the ones that do not. This works well for neurodivergent people who often carry too many competing ideas at once. Implementation intentions then come from the work of Peter Gollwitzer. They are simply planning statements written in an if-then format. For example, if it is 8 a.m., then I open my planner. If I finish dinner, then I put my shoes by the door for tomorrow. Implementation intentions work because they link a behavior to a specific cue. They reduce the cognitive load required to remember what you planned, and they automate the behavior so that it becomes a triggered response rather than a decision. The key mechanism here is called situational cueing. When your brain encounters the cue, the action is activated automatically. This is incredibly helpful for ADHD and AuDHD because it reduces the executive function demand needed to initiate tasks. So why is MC2 ideal for ADHD and AuDHD? Because for us, we have an impaired working memory, difficulties with delaying gratification, trouble holding goals in mind, challenges moving from intention to initiation, difficulty shifting attention. MC2 compensates for these by making goals more emotionally and visibly sticky through mental contrasting, outsourcing executive function to cues through that if-then planning, creating small predictable triggers instead of relying on internal motivation, and giving your brain clarity about what matters and then what can be dropped, making follow through easier, and in real life contexts, it's not just theory. So it is a system that supports the way we naturally think, not just one that forces us into neurotypical productivity culture. So here's how you can use it. You can think of a goal. I want to build a sustainable planning routine. The obstacle I have for that is my energy crashes at 2 p.m. and I forget to check my planner. If-then plan. If it is 8 a.m., then I open my planner while drinking my coffee. If-then plans create automatic cues for your brains. They decrease executive load required to remember what you intended to do. And for AuDHD brains, this matters because it turns that goal pursuit into triggered behavior. So it's not just something you need motivation for. So I'm curious to know, share your own plan down in the comments. I reply to all of the comments because I can, and I think accountability is a form of dopamine, so cool. So kind of the last part of this, your outcome actually matters, but it's the system that keeps you going. So James Clear talks about this, about the concept that it sits deeper in occupational science and self-regulated learning research. Systems create stability, which is something many divergent people crave but cannot generate internally. So instead of saying, I will read 20 books, try, I will read for 10 minutes every night after I get into bed. So instead of saying, I will be more organized, my to-do list lives in one place and I check it at the same time every day. Systems bypass that motivation. They rely on rhythm and consistency. So you do not need high motivation if your system is easy, visible, and emotionally rewarding. Logical, right? So if you want systems that work for your brain, just check out the free link in the comments below. It would pair perfectly with a cup of tea and a Sunday night planning sesh. So I think the next part of this is we need to be really clear about the opportunity to choose fewer goals, but also to go deeper. So neurodivergent people often have big, beautiful, expansive brains, but this research on attention and goal pursuit shows that working on too many things at once divides performance and increases stress. So instead, choose one identity goal, one well-being goal, and one practical goal. So an identity goal example becomes someone who honors their energy rather than pushing through. So for me, I know that quite often I'll say yes to something when I really want to say no. So I want to become someone who works in a way that honors my energy levels. The outcome of that is I will feel calmer and more in control. I will avoid overstimulating myself, reduce the burnout cycle I fall into every 6 to 8 weeks. And then the obstacle here is when I get into hyperfocus or work mode, I forget to pause. I ignore cues from my body and I push until I crash. So my if-then plan, if it is 11 a.m. each day, then I stop what I am doing and check my energy using a 2-minute body scan. If I rate my energy below 6 out of 10, then I switch to an easier task for the next block. Why this works? It creates a cue-based pause point, removes the need to remember to rest, and makes energy regulation a triggered habit. So let's talk about what a well-being goal. What could that look like? Goal could be, I want to build a simple nervous system routine that helps me regulate without feeling overwhelmed. So my outcome here would be I want to feel steadier across the week. I will respond to stress rather than react to it. And my sleep and mood will be more consistent. My obstacle, however, is when I get busy or overstimulated, I forget the strategies that actually help me, obviously, and I default to avoidance or doom scrolling. So if-then plan, if I close my laptop at the end of the workday, then I put on my shoes and I go for a 10-minute walk before doing anything else. If I notice myself scrolling on the couch at night, then I switch to my stretching playlist for 5 minutes. Why this works for neurodivergent brains is it ties in regulation to transitions and sensory anchors. So there's no executive function needed or required to remember what helps. What about a practical goal? My wish is I want to maintain a planning routine that actually survives long enough to help me. I feel more energized or organized. I will not lose track of deadlines and my stress will drop because everything is captured instead of floating in my head. Wouldn't that be a great outcome? The obstacle is I forget to open my planner. Out of sight means out of mind, and I also avoid it if tasks feel too big or vague. If it is 8 a.m. and I'm drinking my coffee, then I open my planner for 5 minutes. If I see a task that feels vague or overwhelming, then I break it into one tiny action I can do today. Why this works It links planning to a stable morning cue that removes the shame spiral around unfinished tasks. And this gives you focus without suffocating you. So identity goals help you behave in alignment with who you want to become, while being goals protect your capacity to function, and practical goals help you move forward in tangible ways. Simple and achievable. So head into the comments, download the freebie, let's get to it. So I'm going to go and show you how I'm planning my 2026 year based on the kind of goal or wish outcome and how I'm going to make that happen for myself. Take a breath and settle into your space. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to understand yourself. You do not need motivation right now. You only need presence. Let's begin. Step 1. Notice where you are. Start by looking back at your year with honesty and kindness. Ask yourself, what helped me feel regulated this year? What made things harder? When did I feel like the truest version of myself? When did I feel disconnected or overwhelmed? Take your time. There is no rush. Write whatever comes up. It does not need to be tidy. This is not about performing clarity. This is about revealing truth. Step 2. Choose one small wish. Now choose one wish for next year. Not a resolution, not a list of 25 goals, just one thing that would make your life feel more aligned. Say it out loud or write it down. Maybe it is, I want more calm in my week. I want to feel more in control of my time. I want to build a system that supports my brain. Or something entirely your own. Let the wish be simple and human. Step 3. Imagine the outcome. Now picture what your life would feel like if this wish came true. Not the Instagram version, the real version. Would you feel steadier, more organized, less scattered, more confident in your own rhythm? Imagine how your mornings would feel. Imagine how your evenings would land. Capture the emotion and write it down. Your brain follows emotion more than logic. Let the feeling lead the way. Step 4. Gently name the obstacle. Now, without judgment, name what usually gets in the way. Maybe you forget. Maybe you lose momentum. Maybe your energy dips. Maybe you get overstimulated and abandon your plan. This part is not negative. This is clarity. When you name the obstacle, you take your power back. You stop pretending you are a machine. You start planning for the brain you actually have. Write it down. Step 5. Create your if-then plan now. Choose a small, specific moment in your day where you can plant a cue. If it is morning coffee, then open your planner. If you close your laptop, then take a 10-minute walk. If you feel overwhelmed, then break the task in half. If the day gets chaotic, then check your goals at 3 p.m. Your if-then plan is a lifeline for your future self. It takes the thinking out of follow-through. It makes your goals something that happens inside your day, not outside it. Write your if-then plan clearly. Step 6. Let it sink in. Read back what you have written, your wish, your outcome, your obstacle, your if-then plan. Notice how grounded and achievable it feels. Notice how different this is from forcing yourself into a system that was never built for your brain. This is goal setting that honors who you are. This is planning with compassion, not punishment. You can repeat this process for more goals, or you can stop here. One strong, well-supported goal is better than 10 abandoned ones. Take a breath. Close your journal gently. Let the year ahead meet you where you are. You are doing enough. And you are doing it in a way that supports your neurodivergent mind, not fights it. So, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and join my Neurofabulous community. Every week I share evidence-based strategies for thriving with a neurodivergent brain. Check out the free annual plan in the description and explore the merch on the site. How fun. Can you see that? And yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate every single view, comment, and share. Stay neurofabulous.